Life in Kingston. As the family carved out their new home in Kingston, the Portsmouth boys became the Teft marksmen. The woods were denser here, the stakes higher, and the shadows longer. One evening, shortly after their arrival, a timber wolf began circling the livestock pens near the edge of their clearing. Without a word from his father, Samuel stepped onto the porch. The sun was dipping low, casting long, deceptive streaks of gold across the grass. He didn't rush. He felt the weight of the flintlock, a familiar friend by now, and waited for the moment the beast's silhouette broke the brush. The shot was singular and true. John stepped out behind him, smelling the acrid tang of black powder in the air. He didn't need to check the mark. He saw the steady hand of his son. "You didn't just bring your names to Kingston," John said, placing a hand on Samuel's shoulder as Joshua emerged with his own rifle, eyes scanning the perimeter with practiced ease. "You brought the steel of Portsmouth with you." In the years to come, those skills would define them, Samuel as a pillar of the growing community, and Joshua in the darker, more complicated chapters of the war to come. But there in the Kingston twilight, they were simply the Teft brothers. The best shots in the colony, standing guard over their father's dream. The secret of the Kingston marksman. The move from Portsmouth was supposed to be a new beginning, a chance for John Teft to expand his lands in the Narragansett country of Kingston. But for Joshua and Samuel, it was the final, critical phase of an agreement that had begun in the secret shadows of the island. The transformation was evident the moment they crossed the bay. In Portsmouth, they were the boys with the guns. In Kingston, they were known for something else. They were the gunmakers. While they weren't forging the steel, they understood the soul of the weapon. One evening, after the new farm buildings were raised, a meeting took place not in the Kingston clearing, but in the dense, silent heart of the great swamp nearby. It was arranged through messengers, not letters. Samuel stood first, a heavy wooden box at his feet. Joshua stood behind him, his hand always resting near his own musket. The Narragansett party, led by a solemn, young warrior named Kingston, waited. The mutual trust was fragile. With a deliberate breath, Samuel knelt. He didn't pull out a full rifle. He pulled out a small cloth bundle. "The shot and the smoke are one thing," he began, his voice surprisingly calm. "But if the lock fails, the smoke is gone." Joshua watched, a subtle smirk playing on his lips, as Samuel's fingers moved with precise, rhythmic speed. In minutes, the entire lock mechanism of a musket was laid out on the oiled cloth, the flint, the hammer, the pan. "Grease from the pig," Samuel explained, holding up a small pot. "Every moving part. After every hunt. After every rain." Kingston nodded slowly, examining the intricate pieces. "The English bring their guns, but they do not share the medicine to keep them alive." "Why do you?" Samuel paused, glancing at Joshua, then back to the warrior. "Portsmouth was our home, but Kingston is now our frontier. We want our neighbors to be strong, because a strong neighbor is a neighbor who does not have to beg." Joshua's smile broadened slightly. It was, of course, a lie. The agreement had been struck for access, for information, and for promises. The Narragansett valued these skills above gold, and the Teft boys had given them. For hours, Samuel and Joshua didn't just teach. They coached. They watched Narragansett hands, used to bows and traps, struggle with the foreign, cold steel. Samuel was patient, correcting a thumb placement on the hammer. Joshua was direct, demonstrating the clean sweep of the pan. By the time the moon was high, the locks were all reassembled, cleaned and greased. The guns were alive. "You have given us the eye that sees far and the breath that never tires," Kingston said, the first trace of a smile on his own face. "The Narragansett do not forget. The Kingston marksmen will always have a friend in the swamp." As the Teft brothers walked back toward the faint yellow light of their new home, Joshua gave a quiet laugh. "They didn't just learn to shoot today, Sam. They learned to own." You saw their eyes. Samuel's silent focus returned. "And the colony thinks we just moved here for better soil, Josh. Let them think that. The secret was safe, for now, in the dirt of their new frontier. But it had irreversibly changed the history they were just beginning to write in Kingston." Mary took out her journal from her old wooden hope chest and wrote of this historic day.
In Portsmouth fields where pines stand tall, they gather 'neath the autumn sky. 2 youthful sons heed father's call, as trusted native guides draw nigh, between the rough-hewn cabin walls and fences built of sturdy wood. A lesson starts as twilight falls. A bond of trust is understood. With careful hands, they touch the steel, where bow and musket first converge. The flint, the pan, the heavy will, 2 ancient ways are set to merge. A moment caught between the wars, before the coming storm and fright. By lantern light and distant stars, a fragile hope shines brief and bright.